Hello, thank you for purchasing our product. My name is Mickey and I'd like to welcome you to our tutorial series for Canvas by Kim Tung Lin. Now some of you from outside of Asia might have heard of Kim Tung's name, but in fact he is one of the most popular and well-known prop builder for celebrity magicians and professional workers in Asia. Now you might have seen his prop without knowing that he has been building these props for celebrity magicians in TV appearances, commercial shows, and even national tours. His gimmicks, in particular those on bills, are really exceptional and has always been a sellout at conventions in Asia. So it's really our pride in Glitch Studios to help him release this on an international level to reach a wider audiences. So with that said, I'd like to welcome you to this tutorial again, and let's see what he has to offer. Now it's time to go into the real secrets of how Canvas works and also a bit of history of how this came to be. This originally started off as a request for Kim Tung from one of his TV clients. He wanted to do a really impossible step-by-step change with a dollar bill. Now of course, as we all know in history of magic, the bill switch has been a very classic plot, all the way starting from the $100 bill switch with a classic thumb tip. Later on, there are many iterations with a lot more visual changes. Of course, most of them using a flip. This idea is not unique, but Kim wants to take this a step further and wants to make it a multiple bill switch. With that said, he countered the first problem, which is if you just simply added 2 flips, you'll realize that it's actually very difficult to have an easy release of each flip without making a problem in the handling. So if you can try this at home, just try sticking 2 pieces of paper and you'll find it a really hard time to pull it off, either without flashing or without actually showing parts of the bill in your construction. Now what he has came up with is a very clever mechanism comprising of different pieces of metal tape and also magnets. This is his true innovation in the genre of bill switch. Now from each package you will receive of course one of the precision-made gimmicks that we have supplied with you. So when you have this on hand, the first thing that you will notice is the painfully thin borders from each side. And think of that, once you do the changes, you can immediately show the thinness from the front and also from the back. So you can see this is so that this can pass the test of stringent conditions in HD TV nowadays and to make this fit for a TV show. So with that said, Canvas is really the perfect visual bill switch you can do for TV and also for parlor shows. With that said, I think you'll appreciate the quality that Kim Tung has put into the realm of bill gimmicks. And now let's go into the details of how to execute this really clean double bill switch. You of course start off with the right hand. The flip will naturally be on your right hand side. You can even casually, because of the nature of US dollar bills, you can show the front and back, given that the green side from the other side is a bit blurry. So keeping it quick will allow you to show both sides in a casual level. Once you've done that, you realize that these 2 flips have precision-made magnets on both sides. Let me show you what I mean. From these sides, the very left end, there are 2 magnets from top and bottom to receive the pins from the other side. For the first flap, there is nothing on the top. I'll tell you why in a later. On the bottom, there is a metal piece. So what you do right now is that you hold it at the end, and what you do is use your middle finger on your right hand and push. You realize only the top flip moves. That's because there are also magnets from the top of the bottom of the remaining flips to hold the second piece together. So right now all you need to do is release with the middle finger and use your left hand to pull this down. That's to execute the first flip. Now there's also another tip when you do this, because when you're using the left hand to cover, some people try to do it by just pushing it downward. This might create a worse angle when you try to pull it down. That might flash. What you should do is actually push it at an angle. And when your left hand is towards the bill, try to align the line with the line of your palm. So when you do this, you can almost grip it like a classic palm as you do with your cards. And as you pull down, the angle is much more protected when you slide it on a diagonal. Now once you do that, you realize that the magnetic strip on the very first flip would tag the metal strip on the first flip. And so now this is secure in one corner. The second corner, because at an angle that you're showing, will not be revealed. And it's only a simple matter of taking the other hand and holding it at an angle. Right now, you can even do a casual flick to show the change. Now, of course, on the second part, you can still do the same thing, but we felt we need a visual kick. So for the second change, we offer this. Now, how that's done. For this, we're applying more of the laws of gravity and aerodynamics. Now, of course, it's just the idea of a flip going down. You can do this with your fingers, but you notice that the speed is not as smooth. The reason being we're only allowing gravity to do the work, and paper is pretty light. So what we should do instead is, if I'm going to tilt a bit, I'm going to show you that when you push with your fingers, you're going to open up a lip. The key to this is to allow air to go in and to use your wrist motion to push the air into the gap in between the bill, so that when you do it, you let the air do the work for you. And now the speed is much quicker than if you've just done it by a simple shake. So in the slow motion, I'll show you. You push, and from my end, you can see the bill. You can see the gap, and with the wrist motion, you try to push this forward. As you push, you can see that going through. And now as a quick release, you show the bill, casually show both sides, show your empty hand, tilt at an angle, pull, temporary show, and you release. And now as a finesse, tap it to reveal the thin quality of the bill, and now you end it with a really clean display of a $100 bill. Now, as we have said, Canvas was originally designed for a TV appearance to survive the scrutiny of a HD camera, so it has to be made exceptionally thin. With that came a tiny sacrifice, and that is if you want to make the paper stock really thin, what happens is the paper stock is naturally pretty see-through than most of the other paper stock. Now, Kim Tung has created this new idea of making the blank piece in the middle. So because of the logic of Canvas being you're rubbing the ink off the paper, so it actually makes a lot more sense that you can see residues at the back. And said that we're just rubbing off the ink, now we're applying a new layer. In the previous editions, it started with a blank piece of paper. And so when you're showing the other side, you will show a bit of a bleed when light shines through. And that is undesirable for parlor situations where there's a bright light on the sunlight, or when you're on TV when there's light shining through from the back. So for those of you who wants to do this on TV, even with the current edition, a small lighting tip is to make sure that you talk to the director and to prevent any sort of backlighting that comes from behind the bill. Now sometimes this might not be possible, so what you would do in those situations is as you perform, try to keep it on chest level and keep it close to your chest, so when you perform, you make sure that your body acts as a natural block, and so not any light can go through from the back. As long as you keep that right, you can do the canvas as safe and secure without anyone realizing it's multiple layers. So that's just a tip for you when you want to do this on sunlight or when you're on TV. Many magicians are being asked the same question over and over again. How do we change money or turn a 10 into 100? Well, today, let me tell you a dirty little secret. The secret is we buy our magic money from the world of con men and cheaters. It's called counterfeit money. They're sold in envelopes. But when you open the package, you realize that it just looks like any other ordinary, bill that you would have. But the magic is actually in the ink. On the same paper, if you notice, I can actually take the one and rub the ink off it entirely. And on this blank canvas, you can print anything you want. For example, 100. But as a real magician, you'll think, but that's too slow, I have to do it one at a time. So I have to say, if you're a real wizard or a magician, you just snap, do a transformation, and I think that's a lot quicker. So what you've just noticed is that we've used the canvas in conjunction with another trick. That's also involving money, to make it into a mini routine to create an even bigger effect. So you can notice that with a bill switch, it can be used as an opener and you can add any other closer you like. For example, this is another product that we have. It's called the Hurricane, also again by Kim Tung, and I think you're gonna love it. Now for demonstration purposes, I'll only show to you how this works, but I cannot teach it to you. So what happens is, I have two envelopes. Now this is a very nice gimmick envelope that I can use anytime to produce any stack of bills. But for you, what you need to know is that I can switch this envelope anytime I want and use the canvas as an opener. Now, this is also very important if you choose to introduce the canvas in the middle of a routine that you've created and you want to keep it in a secure place. An envelope is a very good choice. When you put it in an envelope, you can use the canvas and fold it halfway, because the other side is the 100, as you would know. So a good way of doing it is folding the 100 in. So when you take it out, you can cleanly show both sides of the one. When you put it inside the envelope, make sure that all the edges, all the opening flaps, goes inside the envelope first. So when you open the envelope, you won't have to fumble for which layer to get. When you pinch inside, there's only one thing to pinch, and that's the middle of the bill. So that's a tip for you. Whenever you want to introduce the canvas inside of an envelope, that's what you would do. What I did subsequently was that I executed a misdirection switch where I switched it for the Hurricane envelope. And in that case for you, you can switch it for any other envelope that you want. So for example, you could have borrowed a spectator's ring and have that ring appear inside the envelope. So once you've switched, you can have created easily any routine that you want. Starting off with the bill switch, showing very cleanly again, just an easy matter of using your thumb to open out the bill, using both hands. Now you're ready to execute the canvas, as usual, the way you've learnt it, very cleanly showing the canvas. And now as you end, you can of course take out the envelope again, which already you have switched, and say, maybe I can give you something that worths a lot more than this 100, and then you subsequently produce the spectator's ring, or the spectator's phone, or anything that you like inside the envelope. So what we've chosen is that we've added the hurricane into the routine, but for you, it could have been anything. And we hope you like this addition of using the canvas as an opener. You know, as a magician, one of the most popular requests from audience is, of course, can you make more money appear? Or can you turn a 1 into 100? Well, I mean, it turns out I have a stack of 1s here. But more importantly, you know, it's not just magicians that's trying to do this. A lot of con artists and thieves try to do the same thing as well. I'm going to tell you a true story that happened in the United States. The idea is, you can print anything on paper nowadays, but you have to find the right paper stock. And so what it happens is that they got a stack of 1s to take whatever method they have and try to rub it off. You can see the ink slowly removing itself. And then on this blank canvas, they print 100 US dollars. But I mean, we're not con artists, we're magicians. And to that, I think this is too slow. If you're a real magician, you would have simply placed 100 on top of the 1s, and with a flick of magic, turn them into real hundreds. So what you've just seen was the canvas used in conjunction with another really classic bill trick, Easy Money by Patrick Page. Now, as we've said, since this was designed for TV show, this is on a very thin paper stock. While it looks extremely like real money, this cannot be handled by spectators, nor it can be examined. So the downside is this is only limited to parlor settings and also TV shows. In other words, putting it into the context of another bill trick allows us to do a switch and allowing people to do it for close-up. So this is what we have came up with. Now, of course, Patrick Page's Easy Money, it's not within our parameters to teach. And we know that there's a lot of additions that you can buy on the internet. For example, the Heine 500, the Honey 500, Extreme Burn, Slow Burn. All these bill tricks are really suited for this routine. Because of the construction that this bill can be folded up, it makes it very easy to put it inside a stack for storage and also for the context of a routine. So this is also another beauty of this gimmick. Now we're going to briefly go over the setup. Here we have the canvas gimmick, and we're going to use this piece of brown paper to recognize the Easy Money gimmick. You also need 3 regular bills, and of course the regular $100 bills that's inside the Easy Money gimmick, if you choose to do this routine. Start off with the bill canvas gimmick on the second from top. So you start taking out bills and sandwiching it in between. It is important that the flaps are towards you, towards the palm, and not folded outside. Because if you do that, you might make the mistake of flipping the flips that you don't want to show. So make sure it's together with the side of the palm. The Easy Money gimmick is on 4th. You have a regular bill on the bottom. This is your setup. This is now folded and can be placed in your pocket. When you're out to introduce the gimmicks, make sure you just show the money, and as you're counting out the bills, you'll notice that this $100 bill will be shown. But of course, because you have 3 other normal layers, it's really an easy matter to just open your wrists and just flip that piece as you talk about the bills. So this can be hidden away. Now what you do is that you show the bills very cleanly. Take the top bill, you can show it on both sides, and then take the canvas gimmick, take it on top, and count it. Now because of the way the American bill is designed, you can show a bit of the green side and no one will notice. Proceed to take the third bill, place it on bottom, take the easy money gimmick, show it on both sides, and take the last one to give it that regular outlook. Now it's just an easy matter of placing that on top. And what you want to do is to take that canvas gimmick, which is second from top, fold the others, and place them in the pocket. Now you'll notice that the easy money gimmick is on the top of the stack, and which is what you want to do. And now you can proceed to do the change, making sure that you do not show the other side. But in fact, even if you do, because of the fact that they've seen all 5 bills, a casual show of the back is also fine. Now here, there's actually a tip that because this is in a stack, you can actually randomly hand out these bills for casual examination before you proceed to this, making them feel that these are real dollar bills, hiding the fact that this is a gimmick. Of course, now you proceed to the regular change. In the previous video, in the performance, I show you this rub change, which is pretty similar to Richard Sanders' slow burn move. However, we're doing it with 1 bill, and there's also a tip that you have to note, and that is, make sure that you're holding it with your thumb. Because of the way that the gimmick is constructed, you notice that if I rub it and showing the blank, you can see on the top view, it still looks a lot like a regular bill because of the way that it's printed. So this acts as a convincer that you can show them. As you press, you can show the 1, and as you go slowly along, you tilt it to the back, so the bad angle is blocked by you, and have them focus on the fact that the blank is rubbing off from the front. Now that you're holding onto this, it's just another easy matter of going to the second flick, showing the 100, and of course showing the front and back, revealing the 100. Just pause enough to let the effect sink in and make them look for the finale. Because after all, you cannot put the focus on here. Turn the attention to here and start counting off the 1s, making them expect that you're going to do something with the stack. And of course you proceed to. And now of course, as in the presentation, you proceed to go to whatever presentation that you like to change these to the regular 100s. And now you're left with the gimmick hidden in between the other gimmicks, and you have at least the other ones to hand out for examination. And so we think this is very suited for the close-up context, where now the bills are now examinable in the head, and you give them a very clean look and also giving in the visual appeal of the canvas. So I hope you like this addition, and you're going to enjoy it in the close-up settings. So now we're going to just go over a few extra ideas that you can do with your bills. You notice that in the production of this video, I've actually shown 2 versions of the bill. Of course, they look exactly identical, except for the fact that this looks more like a crisp bill, and this one looks more like a worn bill. Now, how do you do this? Actually, there's a very simple tip of folding the bill once you have the canvas stage, and you do a slight change, just a bit of a crumble to make it crease a bit, like this. Make sure you do this when it's on the canvas state. And when you do so, you realize that the bill now gets that bit of worn out style. But because you're doing it in the middle layer, when you're on the top or the bottom layer, it doesn't look as obvious. But what you have created is that worn out look that you'll get when you are actually handling used bills. Now that's of course up to your presentation. If you felt like you want to use crisp bills for your TV productions, you can of course keep your bill clean and secure. So this is just one tip that you can do depending on whether you want to use it used or use it crisp. Right here, I'd also like to have the liberty of showing you the early editions of the canvas. On the very first edition, where it appeared on TV, it actually started out like this. It's a blank piece of paper. You can show, and then as you would proceed, you change it to this fadeaway state, and then into a $100 bill. Unfortunately, this was subsequently realized to have a lighting issue, as I've said earlier, that because it has to be made really thin, that at this stage you might see a bit of the greenery. And so, while this looks really great, it suffers from the problem of lighting. Then there's the improved version, where we are actually using the paper stock, actually of course resembling the color of a paper bill that's before it's printed. And then we turn it into fadeaway, or actually, as we like it, with pixels, which you think is really cute. And then of course you proceed to do the change. This is also very good as well. And then it came the idea that, what if we put the middle layer into the middle, as what we said, the blank layer into the middle, and that's what created the canvas. So a lot of work has actually went into both the routining and the craftsmanship of what you're holding at today. So we really hope that you enjoy the canvas gimmick, and as you'll realize, this really is just the idea of changing a dollar bill 2 times in a really visual way. How you would execute it, and what these 3 layers could be, is truly just up to your imagination. Of course, at this stage, because of the craftsmanship required, we can only print them out for you and have you receive the full gimmick. At this stage, we still won't recommend you doing it yourself because we think it's still pretty difficult to handle the thickness that you would want that would survive the close-up setting or the TV show setting. So with that in mind, we hope to put in our further iterations more custom-made designs to fit a wider range of audience so you can do whichever canvas that you want to do. With that said, I hope you enjoyed today's product, and I hope this will serve you in your future performance to come. Thank you for supporting Glitch Studios, and I hope you enjoy Canvas. Thank you very much.